Hi everyone, welcome to All Four Queens 555. I've been away for quite some time. I thought I'd let the dust settle a little bit, and obviously there's a lot going on in terms of energy. And as you know, I had to leave my home and move somewhere else and find somewhere else. But unfortunately, wherever I go, I'm followed because someone decided that they wanted to play God with karma. And, I take accountability for the fact that I called karmic justice, but I was in my right to do that because obviously the things that have been done against me, I had the power and the authority to call karmic justice on all the egregious stuff that's been done. And why? Because I'd cleared karma. So people don't have the right to then impose karma on somebody that's already cleared their karma. That's not how it works. But I understand from the cards that people paid towards it. So, and then obviously they paid to get something out of it, and I'm not so sure that they got what they paid for. So hence why I'm part of a hunger game at the minute. Now, a lot of people can say, oh, you invite the energy, higher self and all that lot. And to a point, I will agree with that. But actually, if you saw my life at the minute, as soon as my car moves, I'm sure my car's trapped, and I'll talk about that in a minute. As soon as I move my car, I've got people coming from everywhere. And maybe in the spiritual realm, when it manifested up there, because my dreams were protected, and when I did see certain things and people were handing me cups and stuff like that to sort of, and in previous dream I had another one where someone gave me 2 pills and I didn't take them. So there's a lot of that been going on in the dream state. Now, obviously, it's manifested into the physical, so they're visible and they come out from everywhere and they just follow you. And they're not indiscreet, not discreet about it. I mean, some of them will actually sit and ride your bumper. That's how intense it is sometimes. So it's quite, I mean, you've seen what they did to my home, and they're doing the same to my car, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So they have no shame in destroying property and destroying people's possessions. My understanding, obviously, and I think I've always known it, that this has been some sort of program that I was put in, that I never asked to be put in, but also my energy was feeding some cults and covens when I was a child. So obviously I've pulled that back. Or no, actually I would say the divine has pulled that back. And now obviously everyone sees me as the vessel. But what they don't realise is spiritual warfare was started because someone came for me. And because they used a whole load of people to do it, spiritual warfare is just that. I surrendered it. So, beloved, do not avenge, for I shall avenge, and I will repay, says the Lord. Vengeance is mine. So I've surrendered it because one, it was just impossible for me to take it on, and two, you don't go and bully somebody just because you don't like who they are, what they stand for, and then you don't also then steal their content. But it appears that for years, the reason why I'm going to call these hidden but not forgotten. I was trying to figure out what I was going to call it. Hidden but not forgotten. So for years, I've been sort of like hidden so that other people can be a copycat of me or protect or standing in the presence of me, because you can't copycat my soul and you can't copycat who I am, but stand in the presence of me for fake documents and marriages and taking money and all that sort of stuff. And that's what's been going on, and that's why hidden but not forgotten. So when I came onto the scene, obviously it shook a lot of things, and and that's why my channel was sort of like sidelined a little bit. And I think from what I'm understanding at the minute, a lot of people were told stuff that wasn't true, and I think there's a lot of people now that are seeing it for themselves, because if you don't ask, there's two sides to every story, isn't there? So if you only get one side of the story and you never see the other side, then you're always going to believe that one side. So when I came on the scene, it proved that whatever someone had said wasn't true. So now they're trying to spin the narrative. So I've got people damaging my car. my car has been adapted, and I'm assuming it's police or military or whoever it is, because you know, like when you learn to drive and you've got someone with your clutch being able to control your pedals. I got onto the motorway and someone was controlling the car, and it stopped in the middle of the motorway, and bear in mind, 4-lane motorway, and there was all these people going past, and they were just throwing obviously dark energy at me. And the car was juddering, and they were just making a big scene in the car, really. So I just switched the engine off in the end, because I just thought, well, you know, this is getting a bit over the top, isn't it? You know, control is one thing, but this is going to the nth degree. And then I had the stability issue, got it fixed, and it's been done 3 times now, and it still keeps coming on because they switch it on. So the car's completely destroyed, basically, and obviously the door's a bit wobbly now. I stayed at a hotel the other day, and someone had levered the bonnet up because there was a big chip on the side, and now it's obviously driving really bad. So I don't know whether that's a point of control, or whether it's supposed to wind me up, or what, or it's supposed to drain my finances. I'm not quite sure what the intent is, but obviously it's an intent, and you know, these are the things that they do. And obviously, as being part of some sort of program, I'm going to call it the torture program, because I think that's what the intention is that you're supposed to be tortured with energy weapons, electronic devices, because whatever somebody injected in me or has implanted in me, people are going around using their phones, and I can feel like a stabbing. It's like a pin, like it feels like a pin, but obviously there's something in me that they're trying to create. Now, I do think it's got something to do with a medical thing as well, which I've been assigned to, and people are trying to mess with my DNA, and you know, send illnesses and all that sort of stuff, not just through dream state spell work, but also on the physical as well, because I've lost a lot of weight, and I've lost a lot of muscle mass as well. Now, the doctor, and I put that in inverted commas, says that you do when you get older, but obviously not as much as I have. So I think there's a bit of an issue there as well. So there's a lot going on, and you know, I haven't got a fixed abode per se, purely because wherever I go, they just follow me and try and destroy. You saw what they did with the caravan. So it's just a case of, you know, I stay prayed up, and faith. One thing that they can't take away from you is your faith and your soul. And obviously, you know, they say as well that what's meant for you will never ever pass you by. It might just get delayed, but it will never pass you by. And so my destiny will never pass me by. And I say thank you in some cases, because the challenges that I've gone through are all divinely designed. And I say that because I think people think that they are in control. And I'm going to sort of say that God uses people from all walks of life to do his bidding. So everybody that's come for me, and everyone that's attacked me and challenged me, there's 2 reasons for that. One is to spiritually strengthen me, resilience and patience. And 2 is probably to give me a reminder that, you know, I need to move a little bit more, or I need to do something, or I need to get out. Whatever it is, there's a purpose for everything, but he uses people for that reason as well. And if I take you back, and I keep saying it, Job 1, he used the devil to test Job. And as you know, I don't put the word chosen or whatever you want to call it, but if you're in your alignment, and the people will test you, and he will use them to test you, because obviously that's the point, isn't it? You can't possibly help other people if you haven't walked in those shoes. And I say that in one of my recordings. You know, if you haven't walked in someone else's shoes, how can you judge them? Or how can you question them? I wouldn't say the word judge, question them. You can't. And it's the same as this destiny swapping thing. So I want to talk a little about that. When I talk about destiny swapping, what I was sort of aligning to about the elite and stuff like that, it's not just the destiny swap that they have, your life and the money and all that. It's the karma. It's the karma that they go for. So obviously when they go through the death magic and put us all into death magic and make us lose everything, they want to take our good karma. But this time around, that's not necessarily the way it's going to work, because and they'll do things on the physical where they'll phone your job and make sure you lose your job and make sure you can't work, and they'll block you and they'll stop you and they'll suppress you with your computers and your phones and everything else. But when they do a destiny swap, what they failed to recognise was they were swapping a destiny that hadn't actually come to fruition. So in other words, I hadn't physically got that destiny because they took it in the destiny that I was already in, and that was a destiny that they put me in a previous death magic. So all they've achieved really is the destiny that they put me in previously, because I hadn't achieved the Ten of Pentacles new destiny that they were obviously watching in the tarot cards, because they thought that by trying to come in and take it, they would get it. Now, the postal stuff, they probably did get money. But I also say to that is, also, everything is tested, isn't it? So they might have done it for years and years and years, but the reason why they were allowed to do it for so long was, one, it was a challenge for me to be able to get back up again, and keep ascending, for want of a better word, death and rebirth, like the tarot card. So that's a challenge, isn't it, for yourself? But also, they've built up that much karma now because they've done it so many times that they now have that karma back. And the question being, and I said it in some of my earlier recordings, is one, Book of Revelations, it's always about the future of what's going to happen. Now, one of my recordings, I actually talk about Stanley Street and all the buildings blowing up. And then in another one, I talk about one person's ego brought a load of people to karma. So for me, now, everyone is chasing me as though I'm the villain, but actually, they're chasing me, I'm the villain. But actually, their choice, we all have free will, and they had a choice to make and they made the choice. But what you don't get is a choice of your consequences. So every time they've done whatever, now whether they've been lied to or not, I mean, I don't know, but you still had a choice. And now all that karma that they built up over all those years is now theirs to take. And like I said, the destiny swap, the destiny was for the karma as well, was for the good karma as well. But also, I wasn't actually physically in that destiny because they tried to pinch it before I even was in it. So for me, that would be cursed anyway, because the ancestors will curse it, and any money people get will be cursed. So whilst they think they've got all this money, what they probably don't realise is they're living in karma, and they're living in judgment every day for the fact of how they got it. Because what do they say is, how you get it is how you'll lose it. So when I talk about the memo, I talk about COVID 2020. We were all put away to sort of either go through the ascension or awaken, or not. But obviously, 2024 was about the karma returning. So it was a case of reflection and then think about what you've done and try and put it right, really. I think, they do give you enough time to sort of put your hand up and say, I've done wrong and I want to repent and stuff. A lot of people don't want to do that, and I get that. But obviously, you can't then attack someone because you've made choices that you don't like. It's not how it works. So at the moment, that's pretty much where we're at. And I'm still finding my feet, obviously. So, I just wanted to come on and just say hello, everyone. I was going to do something as well, because I sat there and I was contemplating, and I like to, channel in and get my thoughts. I had asked them to stop for a while because people were trying to get in my brain with all this stupid mind control, MK Ultra program, torture program, whatever it is. I mean, they've traipsed up with their suitcases and their rucksacks, and they're not inconspicuous, and their laptops, and and they use all this computer stuff, and it's quite heavy. The energy that I'm standing in here now, it's heavy. I feel the heaviness of it. It's like I feel like I've got weights in my shoes. That's how heavy it is, especially when you're in a hotel where everybody is of the same density, apart from me and maybe a few others. I don't know, but I can feel it. It's quite dense. So yeah, so I was just sort of like contemplating, and I was saying to, like, where do we go from here and things like that. And then the book opened to David and Goliath. Now we all know David and Goliath. Goliath was massive and David was tiny, and he, he still beat the giant, didn't he? And I think for me, one of my purposes was everything that I've ever gone through. And I always say in the previous one, check your timelines, look at your life, because everything I've ever gone through, there was always a reason. Because I do believe everything is a reason, season, and a lifetime. And there was always a reason why I went through what I went through. And I think for me was because of this point. This has probably been one of the big challenges to sort of overcome. One, to stand firm in my truth, because that's what we're here for. And also my faith, knowing that they are there and they are protecting me, and I am grateful for that 100% and humble for it, and the fact that all the people that you think on the physical realm are there to help you, some of them are actually there to destroy you. So, and I've learned that lesson as well. So I've learned the lessons, and over the time to get to this point, because the biggest one was obviously all the societies, the institutions and the organisations. When I talked about that street, that's what I was talking about, everything imploding. And it is, isn't it, the matrix structure, the system that was built to keep everyone boxed up, controlled, angry, negative, confused. We tell you what to do, you can't think for yourself system is sort of crumbling. And I think the reason why I'm probably being attacked is, one, for my energy, because they want me to whirl out and so they can get a bit of energy. But two, and they've also fed from my energy for years, and now they're having to live in their own energy, and I think a lot of people like it. But I think for years we've been sort of put in a box, haven't we? And now we can come out of that box. We're not in the Piscean era anymore of ego. And I think a lot of people are struggling with that because that's all they've ever known. And so because they refuse to heal and they refuse to awaken, they're struggling with the fact that their ego was what kept them going. And these groups that they all joined was power in the mass. So when you've got a lot of people in a group and they've got senior positions of authority and they can abuse their power, then you're comfortable in your ego, aren't you? And I'm going to lighten that a little bit, and I'm going to say that we all want to have a hobby, but what I don't agree with is where the hobby becomes part of the job, if that makes sense. So if you're going to join a society or whatever, but you've got a position of power, your position of power that the taxpayer's paying for is your position, and that's what you should be protecting and serving, not using your hobby to facilitate the negative aspects and keeping people down and controlled. Because the amount of people that I've seen, all walks of life have joined these societies and stuff. So don't be fooled by, anyone, because the title doesn't matter. They choose to join them and whatever they do behind them. So I just wanted to jump in there and just sort of say I'm still here. I'm still trying to figure stuff out myself, and hopefully my lessons and my learnings will help other people awaken, and hopefully we can create a world of peace, harmony, healing, and obviously love. If you remember one of my recordings, I talk about Corinthians. Love is the highest vibration, and at the end of Corinthians he says all he has is faith, hope and love being the most important. So I'm hoping that out of all this, even if only one person who's been attacking me awakens, that's one person that is going to probably be able to repent, go through their karma and then come out the other side a better person for themselves first and foremost, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about self. It's not about anyone else, it's about ourselves. Our journey is our journey. But what we shouldn't have is other people trying to control our energy to facilitate themselves. They've got a lot of work to do and they need to do it. So I'm going to end it with basically the war, the spiritual warfare that was created, whether it was through thieving, money, energy, whatever it was, and my truth. And I'll stand by my truth because my ancestors are now in the light, and I'm happy about that, which is what we're all here to do: clear their karma and clear our own. I just hope that these people surrender, and that we walk into a world where we can all be free and know where our boundaries are, but also have opportunities for everyone, not just for the few. And that's my dream. So hopefully, we'll get there. And so I whilst I'm a little bit sad about my home and stuff, I sit and reflect about that, and I think, and I've said it before, I am grateful that I was forced to get out, because I'd been there so long and I got on this wheel of the same old, not realising that someone had switched my destiny, so I was obviously not living my truth. But now I am glad, because I've been out and I've seen quite a few things, and I'm happy with that. But I'm still questioning who isn't involved, but that's one for another day. But anyway, I'm going to love yous and leave yous. I'm going to say thank you to the spiritual realm, and thank you for the clarity that they give. It's not that you don't know it, it's just the clarity that they give you. Thank you for protecting me, thank you for keeping me safe, thank you for keeping me aware, and thank you for all those that are over on the other side that have a very powerful position, because I know my granddad does. The granddad that I know anyway, he does, and he's very powerful in the spiritual realm. Maybe he wasn't as powerful in the physical, or he had his wings clipped a little bit. But I want to talk a little bit. I did do a recording on that, and I got a bit emotional, but I will share them at some point of my journey. I might call it the Fool's Journey, I'm not sure yet, but take it easy. I'm sending so much love, peace and harmony to everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.